Let me tell you something most men never figure out. If you want a woman to miss you, chasing her will never work. In fact, the more you try to get her attention, the more she mentally tunes you out. It sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Women don't miss presence. They miss absence. But not just any kind of absence. It has to be intentional, powerful, and loaded with silent confidence. That's what sticks in her mind. Welcome to the channel. If you've ever found yourself wondering why that woman you liked barely noticed when you stopped calling, or worse, seemed relieved, you're not alone. Most men are wired to believe that effort equals reward in relationships. But when it comes to attraction, effort can backfire if it's misdirected. If a woman isn't interested, pushing harder won't make her feel anything for you, except maybe pressure or discomfort. So here's what this video is going to break down. How to make a woman genuinely miss you, even if right now she seems completely disinterested. This isn't about manipulation or gimmicks. It's about understanding what emotionally sticks with women. It's about showing up in a way that makes her curious, unsettled, and wondering where your attention went. We're going to go deep into mindset, behavior, and strategy. How do you hold your frame when a woman pulls away? How do you shift the emotional dynamic without saying a word? How do you make her question what she lost, even if she didn't want you in the first place? If you're tired of being overlooked, or you're done with one-sided effort, stay with me. What I'm about to share will flip the entire game in your favor. No more overthinking, no more chasing. Let's teach her how it feels when you're the one who's missing from her world. 1. Silence is louder than words. Here's the truth that most men overlook. Your silence has more power than any text, call, or long message ever will. When a woman isn't interested or seems distant, your first instinct might be to reach out, explain yourself, try to fix the energy. That's emotional panic. That's fear talking, and that fear kills attraction. But when you go silent, not in a petty or manipulative way, but in a calm, confident, centered way, you create space. That space forces her to feel something. And if you hold that silence long enough, she'll feel the weight of your absence. Understand this. Women are emotional processors. They need time and contrast to realize what they're missing. But if you're constantly showing up, constantly explaining, constantly reacting, she doesn't get that contrast. You've made yourself predictable, and predictable is forgettable. Now here's what happens when you stop talking, especially when she expects you to still chase her. First, she notices. Then she questions it. Then she starts to wonder, why isn't he reaching out? And that question is exactly what you want. Curiosity is emotional engagement. That's where missing you begins. She may not reach out right away. She may try to stay indifferent. But the silence works on her. It's psychological pressure without force. It lingers. But here's where most men mess it up. They go silent for 3 days, then crack. They send a message just to check in, and that ruins everything. The silence has to be complete. No likes on her post, no accidental replies, no happy birthday texts. You don't exist in her world for a while. That doesn't mean you're sitting around waiting. It means you're building yourself, staying focused, and giving her a chance to notice the gap you left. And trust this, she'll notice. 2. Stop acting available. All the time. If you're always available, she'll never value your presence. It's that simple. Being too easy to access is one of the fastest ways to become invisible in her mind, especially when she's not fully invested in you yet. A woman doesn't miss what she can always get, and the biggest mistake men make is confusing availability with loyalty. They think, if I just show her I'm always here, she'll appreciate me. No, she'll get used to you. She'll take you for granted. And once that happens, her attraction drops. Women are drawn to men who seem like they have something more important going on. That doesn't mean you ignore her or act rude. It means you stop making her the center of your daily life, especially when she hasn't earned that level of energy. You don't jump on every text. You don't clear your schedule every time she wants to talk. You let her wonder a little. You let her ask herself, where is he? What's he doing? That curiosity, that's where her interest builds. You have to retrain your mindset. You're not here to prove your worth. You're here to live a full life that draws her into your world, not one that wraps itself around hers. When you show a woman that you're not constantly available, you send a message without saying a word. I have value. My time matters. And I don't need to chase anyone to prove that. And that energy, quiet confidence, controlled attention, is powerful. It forces her to rethink her perception of you. 3. Mystery and jealousy. Another way to make a woman miss you involves a combination of mystery and subtle jealousy. Here's where many guys go wrong, trying to be too obvious in their efforts to trigger jealousy. If you're talking to an ex and casually mention that you're going on multiple dates or seeing other women every weekend, she'll instantly see through your intentions. This comes off as emotionally manipulative, and instead of creating genuine intrigue, it signals to her that you're trying too hard. Worse, it communicates that she still has control over you, which places you in a weak position as the backup plan. The key is to be indirect. Jealousy, when done right, should be almost invisible to her, masked by an air of mystery. For example, I once tried to make an ex jealous by posting pictures of myself hanging out with girls during a vacation. I thought it was clever at the time, but it ended up backfiring. She saw right through it, and it had the opposite effect. She wasn't intrigued. She felt I was trying to manipulate her, which devalued me in her eyes. So how do you create genuine jealousy without appearing heavy-handed? The answer lies in mystery. Let's say she's checking your social media and notices you're at a concert, but there's no indication of who you're with. Instantly, questions arise in her mind. Who is he with? Is he on a date? That ambiguity stirs curiosity and eventually jealousy. She can't figure it out, and that will keep her thinking about you. A great example comes from my friend Ken, who went to a John Legend concert with a male friend because his friend's girlfriend couldn't make it. Ken posted a photo of the concert on his social media without mentioning who he was with, and suddenly, every woman he was in contact with assumed he was on a date. That's the kind of subtlety that works, creating mystery without being explicit. Similarly, when you're talking to your ex or someone you're trying to rekindle things with, mention something like, I went skiing last weekend, but don't say who you went with. If she presses for details, just say you went with a friend. Let her imagination fill in the blanks. This creates the mystery that keeps her curious about what's really going on in your life. A simple but effective tactic is the classic appletini and beer photo. When you're at a bar or restaurant, post a picture of a beer and an appletini on the table with a caption like, "Cheers to a great night." The appletini will suggest that you're with a girl, but you don't say anything directly. This plants the idea in her mind without confirming anything, leaving her to wonder. And that's the power of mystery. By mastering this combination of subtle jealousy and mystery, you'll keep her guessing and thinking about you long after the conversation ends. 4. Control your emotional availability. One of the biggest mistakes men make when trying to get a woman to miss them is giving her full emotional access, even when she's showing half-hearted interest. You can't let someone sit at the table of your heart and eat for free. If she's not investing emotionally, mentally, or physically, you've got to control how much of you she gets. This doesn't mean being cold. It means being intentional. When you're always emotionally available, responding fast, sharing your feelings, making yourself constantly open, she doesn't have the space to miss you. She doesn't have the urge to wonder about you. She doesn't need to ask herself where you stand, because you're already giving everything away. Here's the truth. Mystery builds attraction. And when you're always emotionally wide open, there's no mystery. There's no tension, no curiosity. She knows how you feel. She knows you'll be there. And she knows she doesn't have to work for your attention because you're giving it out like it costs nothing. Men who are selective with their emotional energy naturally create pull. They're not cold. They're grounded. They're not needy. They're intentional. And women pick up on that. Fast. So, if you want her to feel your absence, stop giving her free access to your mind, heart, and time. Start treating your attention like currency, and only invest it where it grows in value. Here's how that looks in action. You don't reply immediately every time she texts. You don't open up deeply when she hasn't shown real effort. You don't initiate conversation when she's acting distant. You don't explain your silence unless she earns it. You're calm, you're grounded, and you only go deep when she meets you on that level. That's how a man holds value. That's how you shift the dynamic. 5. Stop trying to prove yourself. Here's something most men don't realize until it's too late. The more you try to prove yourself to a woman, the less she values you. Sounds harsh, but it's true. Women don't fall for men who beg for their attention. They fall for men who move like they already have value. Because they do. You don't need to prove that you're good enough, loyal enough, successful enough, or worthy of her attention. The moment you start trying to convince her, you automatically put yourself beneath her. That's when she mentally checks out. Let me break this down clearly. When a man tries to prove himself, what he's really saying is, I don't believe I'm enough unless you say I am. That energy repels a woman's attraction instantly. Why? Because she doesn't want to be your validation. She wants to witness your confidence. You want her to miss you? Then stop campaigning for her approval. You're not a politician. You're a man. And your value doesn't depend on whether or not she sees it. It depends on whether or not you believe in it. This is the shift. Instead of chasing her attention, protect your peace. Instead of over-explaining yourself, stay quiet and grounded. Instead of asking what you did wrong, step back and observe if she even deserves access to your world again. If she left, that was her choice. You don't need to beg her to see your worth. If she doesn't already know, she's not for you, or at least not ready for the version of you that's growing. This is where most men mess up. They come back with their hearts in their hands asking, what can I do better? When what they should be saying is, I've learned a lot about myself, and I don't chase what doesn't recognize value. Let her wonder why you stopped proving yourself. Let her notice the shift. Women feel it deeply when a man no longer moves from insecurity. 6. Let her sit with the silence. Here's a truth that hits harder than most men expect. Silence speaks louder than effort when it comes to impact. If you want a woman to feel your absence, to question her choices, to genuinely start missing you, you need to stop filling every gap with words, explanations, or emotional noise. Silence is power. And most men are afraid of it. They think if they're not texting, checking in, or posting something she might see, they'll be forgotten. But the reality is, silence forces a woman to hear her own thoughts. It gives her space to reflect, without your energy clouding her perception. And if there's still any emotional attachment left, your silence will trigger it faster than your words ever could. Now here's what silence is not. It's not passive-aggressive. It's not cold or manipulative. It's not a tactic where you secretly hope she breaks down and calls you crying. Silence isn't for her. It's for you. It's the discipline to stop explaining, the maturity to stop reacting, the strength to protect your emotional space. Most men blow their own mystery. The moment she pulls back, they panic. They start asking questions, overanalyzing, double texting. All of that reveals a lack of control. And trust me, she notices. But when you embrace silence, you're telling her, without saying a word, I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to chase. I've got myself. Let her sit with that. Let her wonder what you're doing. Let her notice the difference in your energy. The absence of noise from you will create a loud conversation in her own head. That's what makes her miss you. Every woman has a moment, late at night or in her quiet hours, where she reflects. If you've been silent, truly silent, you will cross her mind. She'll scroll back through texts. She'll check your page. She'll wonder why you're so calm, so pulled back, so focused on something other than her. And if there was ever any spark, any attraction, any bond, your silence brings it back into the light. Not because you chased it, but because you didn't. Now don't mistake silence for sitting still. While she's sitting with the silence, you need to be moving, building, evolving. Nothing is more powerful than a man who disappears to work on himself. 7. Make her regret losing you. Here's where it all comes full circle, when she starts to realize what she had, after she's already lost it. This doesn't happen by chance. It's not about hoping she wakes up one day and regrets letting you go. You have to become the man that forces her to feel that regret without saying a word. Here's the truth. Women don't regret losing someone who stayed stagnant, stayed emotional, stayed easy to get. They regret losing the man who leveled up once she left. The man who didn't beg, who didn't lash out, who didn't collapse. The man who became better, stronger, sharper, more composed. The version of you that stayed still. She thought she knew him. That's why she walked away. But when she sees that you've changed, not out of pain, but out of purpose, that's when it hits her. And regret. It doesn't start when you text her, I'm doing better now. Number regret creeps in when she sees that you're living better now. Without her. She notices the difference. In your energy, your appearance, your confidence. The way other people, especially other women, are reacting to you. You've become that man. The one she always wanted you to be. But now you don't need her to see it. That stings. Now let's get something clear. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making her feel bad. This is about taking your power back. About recognizing that you are the prize, and that losing you has consequences. When she feels that shift, that emotional gap between the man she left and the man you are now, she won't just miss you. She'll regret letting you go. She'll replay moments. She'll rethink decisions. She'll wonder if she misjudged you. Here's the truth most men avoid. If a woman never misses you after leaving, you didn't leave an impact. And that says everything. That might sting a little, but it's necessary. Because the moment you stop chasing and start building yourself up, everything changes. She starts to notice. She starts to remember. She starts to feel something again. Because you became the kind of man she doesn't forget. Most guys think no contact is just silence. But it's not. It's a phase of transformation. It's your chance to shift the dynamic, reclaim your power, and let time and space do their part. You're not doing it to get her back. You're doing it to get yourself back. And if she does come back, you won't be the same man she left. You'll be stronger, more grounded, and clearer about who you are and what you deserve. That's when she'll miss you the most, not just because she lost you, but because she realizes you're no longer available at the level she left you. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been through this? Did she come back? Are you in the middle of that silence right now? drop your story in the comments. I read them, and I respond. We're building something real here. A space where men finally get the clarity they need to stop chasing and start choosing. Because once you understand your value, the game changes, and she'll feel it every single time.